Hello, everybody, and welcome to part 9 of the HK Models 132nd B-17. And today we are starting paint. We're going to be using the Kits World decals for Little Miss Mischief. I went ahead and painted everything with the AK aluminum, and now we're going to be coming in with MRP olive drab. And I'm just going to be painting off the back end of here. I'm not worried about masking off the front end because after the olive drab is all painted, I'm going to go back and do the touch-ups on the aluminum on that. So right now, just spraying on the olive drab with the aluminum undercoat really does help with the color of it. It doesn't show up too dark. And after everything's said and done, we're gonna go in and do some washes and everything to really look like the back end of this is beat up on that. So, getting both sides of the olive drab done here, not much to it. I already painted the underside with the MRP neutral gray, which again went down nice and easy. No issues with that. MRP is obviously my favorite paint because it pours straight out of the bottle, super thin, and super tough. You can rub your tweezers across it and it's not going to scratch. I've really never had issues, or maybe once or twice only had issues with masking tape pulling it up, and that was because I left dust or something like that underneath the paint. So it's not the MRP's paint, unlike some of the other brands where if you don't let it dry for 3 weeks, it'll pull up. So getting the rest of the parts painted with the olive drab, the only other parts were the elevators for the tailplane. And now we're going to be moving on to the red. We're using MRP Insignia Red. Sorry about the blurriness of that. So getting that painted on, had to go outside the paint booth because it wasn't fitting in the paint booth. So we're just spraying it on the workbench. Um, and getting all that done again with the aluminum, didn't have to worry about doing a white base underneath of it, and it's going down real nice. Now we're going to be painting off the leading, or masking off the leading edges of those tailplanes later on with the super matte black, and getting the other side of the tailplane painted with the insignia red as well. All right, and then coming up next, we're going to be painting some panels, some different shades of aluminum. First, we're starting off with the dark aluminum from AK Extreme Metal, just doing a few panels here and there to show some difference in the tones of aluminum right here. And then, like I said, afterwards with the weathering, we're going to go in and do a little bit more of a beat up job to make it look like the crew and the ground crews are walking around doing maintenance and stuff on this plane. So we still have a long way to go with the final outcome of this. But the aluminum portion of this is going to be fairly clean. It's not going to be like the back end where it's going to be all beat up, because in the story of this B-17 Little Miss Mischief, they crashed the plane, and then the tail end was absolutely wrecked, but the front end was still recoverable. So they took a old B-17 tail and they just bolted it on to the Little Miss Mischief. So that is why it is two tones right here. And now we have the masking for the anti-glare shields on the engine nacelles and also on the front end. It did take me a few times to get the front end painted correctly, just with the curves and everything. It did take me a few attempts to get it, but after all, it wasn't very difficult to do. I just had to use the right tape to get the curves done. Removing the masking tape is probably one of my favorite parts of building. It's just so satisfying when you remove the tape and you see how everything is turning out. Even though you do throw a lot of money in the trash bin when doing a model this size, I have already gone through pretty much one whole roll of Tamiya masking tape. I do sometimes use the Walmart blue tape, but that stuff really doesn't stick very well to the models, so I tend not to use it very often. Also being very careful right here when removing the masking tape, making sure it's not pulling off the clear part mask as well. So this is filmed before I did the correction on the nose anti-glare shield on that. So that's been corrected. It'll show up later in the video of the corrected one, but that's where we're standing right now in this video. Right now, you can kind of see the different tonal variations between the dark aluminum and the matte aluminum, and then also the polished aluminum on the side of the fuselage as well with that. So that's how that's turning out. And like I said, we're going to blend everything in later on. And now we have a patch of olive drab on the port wing right here that we're just going to do. And then later on, we're going to be masking off the red wing tips as well. It's a nice thing with the Edward engine set. It does come with the engine cowls that you can have pulled off so you can show off the work that you're doing on the engines. The engines are all painted now and they do look really nice. I just have to do all the final assembly and weathering on them right now, but that's where they're standing right now. And then this is the other one with the full cowling and cooling flaps right there. And now it's time for decals. And decals on this, I'm going to get into it later on the video, but you're going to see how much of a nightmare these decals are right here. This is the mission markings right here, and these just did not want to move. They did not want to go in line. They ended up tearing. They were stretchy. It was just all over the place. And then getting them into lined up was almost impossible. And here I am trying to move it, doing extra water, trying to get it to float a little bit. I'm having to come in with more water and more water. It felt like a 90s kid with a super soaker, trying to get these decals wet enough to get into position. It just was not fun. Even sliding underneath the decal was not working correctly. So did take a long time to get it, and then also the other thing is when the decals fold up underneath of it, like they did right there, they are pretty much stuck. I was lucky enough to get that one fixed, but later on you're gonna see, with one of the letterings on the aft fuselage, I was not able to get it fixed, and, just trying to get these into place. Again, decals should not be this much of a struggle to get done. Like I said, they on the paper they feel super thick, but when you pull them off, they are extremely thin and they do not move. They don't they stretch and then they tear and everything. And I only put them in the water for like 20 seconds. So it's not like I had them soaking forever. And they actually started bubbling in the water as well. Doing my best to get them lined up correctly. And we're just going to have to call that close enough. Even though close only counts in horseshoes and grenades, right here, it's going to have to count. It's going to have to work here. And now we're getting on the actual nose art right here, getting this one on. This one wasn't so bad to get done. Went down okay. There was a little bit of a fold that I couldn't get fixed, but we got it on there. And then the next decal, the actual writing for Little Miss Mischief, was the only decal from the Kits World set that actually went down nicely without any issues. Slid on right off. I think because I had it in the right position from the very get go, that helped out. But I mean, the rest of the decals, as you see with that front bomb right here. And now we're using the national insignia from the HK Models kit and getting that on, letting it soak in the water. I put on my microsol and let it soak. Didn't soak it long enough, so I put it back in the bowl for a few more seconds. And when I'm doing my decals, I have a candle warmer that I let the decal set in. It keeps the water warm, so the decals only need to set in the water for 30, 40 seconds, maybe some decal brands even as low as 20 seconds. But that one slid right off without any issues on that. Now getting all the water cleared out from it, and then now we're back to the Kits World decals where the nightmare continues. Sorry, my hand was in the way. Now we're going to try it again with this one. A little bit, it's about a 1/4 inch too far to the right, so we're trying to move that in. And on the underside, it folded up on itself, and I was trying to get that fixed, but I could not get it to unfold. So that was an issue right there. It's also crooked um, from looking at it here, and also when I was doing it right there. You can see I was trying to fix that fold on the bottom, but I could not get it to work. So we're going to call that one done, and then we're going to come in with the F here shortly after I try and make a few more attempts to get that underside of the D fixed. Now we're coming in with the F, and guess what it does on me again? It folds up on itself. And again, I can't get it fixed. So at this point, after the D or the F and the D fail, I've pretty much thrown in the towel on the decals on this because just not going to risk doing any more damage to this build. So you'll see here, I'm trying to get it fixed and it's not working. So I'm going to pull the decals off and we're going to go hit it with some paint mask. And that's it for me. And you'll be coming up to the outro here in just a second. So I'll see you guys then. Alright, so that's going to do it for today's video on the 132nd B-17G. And as you saw, we got down to the decals, and those decals from Kits World are absolutely atrocious, horrible. Cannot work with them. They on the paper they feel super thick, but once you get them off the paper and onto the model, number one, they are extremely thin. They tear, they stretch. Once they go onto the model, they do not move. Even with super soaking the area with water underneath the decal, they still did not want to move. So I am not going to ruin any more decals on this kit, and I am putting it off to the side. What's up next is I'm going to go out and buy a mask cutter, either a silhouette or a Cricut cutter. Not sure which one yet. Let me know down in the comments if you use a mask cutter. Which one do you use? Which one do you prefer? Because that is in the next couple months. Once I get the money together, that's something that I'm going to purchase and be able to use that for a lot of future builds I have planned. So yeah, that's where we're standing with this build. Hopefully it's back on the bench in the next couple months. But until then, I'm going to be going back to the B1B and moving forward with that one. So I'm really excited about that one. I'm excited to get back to the B-17 as well. But that's all I got. I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I hope you guys stay tuned for the future videos of the B-17 and the B1B. But if you haven't yet, don't forget to like and subscribe. Comment down below, hit the bell button for notifications of when I post future videos. And until next time, I hope you guys have a great day. I'll see you then. Bye-bye.